Upcoming.
Welcome to the upcoming video games of March 2018. My name is Globku with this month's releases, but first, a small announcement that's gonna piss some people off. These are not all the games coming out this month. These videos can never feature every single game that comes out because there are hundreds of games coming out every week nowadays. These are the games that we decided to highlight, but starting this month and moving forward, we're gonna stop highlighting VR games. I think there are better channels out there if you're into VR. I think there are channels that are specifically and exclusively covering VR games. But for the general public and the audience of this channel, VR still isn't what it promised to be. So until we have a major breakthrough in VR, I'm gonna stop highlighting those games, and I can only hope that you understand. And with that, let's get on with the show, starting with Final Fantasy 15 coming to the PC. I enjoyed the base game a lot on its own, but now the PC version will also have mod support, and it's bringing a lot of different skins from other games like The Sims 4 and Gordon Freeman from Half-Life. I think the modding scene will really make this game shine on the PC. I give it a few weeks before someone puts the entire cast of Final Fantasy 7 in there. Fans of Scribblenauts will have the chance to play over 25 minigames using the object summoning mechanic from the vast Scribblenauts dictionary. Scribblenauts Showdown is a party game for you to enjoy with your friends. Warhammer Vermintide 2 keeps the gameplay style from the first game, a first-person cooperative game in the style of a Left 4 Dead 2, for instance, where players cooperate to complete different levels, but instead of guns, they carry weapons from the Warhammer fantasy universe. At the end of each mission, you get randomized loot, and it seems very similar to the first Vermintide. Your Fortnite Princess's training story has been getting some good buzz. This is an RPG that seems to have some pretty unique mechanics, and it has a lot of style for sure. As the player, you can create a character and become the protagonist of this story, a silent protagonist that guides the 4 Knight Princesses through their journey. Combat-wise, you have fast attacks, special attacks, and you can even praise or scold the princesses, granting them temporary buffs. You'll get points after a battle so you can level up, and it seems that there's something special about this one. Bleed 2 is a fast-paced bullet hell platformer, air dodging, bullet reflection, and a ton of bosses for you to defeat on randomly generated levels. Seems like a tight, chaotic platformer shoot 'em up. Devil May Cry 1, 2, and 3 are coming in an HD collection. Since both Devil May Cry 4 and the most recent DMC Devil May Cry both came out remastered on PS4 and Xbox One, that brings all the major Devil May Cry games to the current generation. I guess this is their last step before Devil May Cry 5, right? THQ Nordic is remastering The Raven: Legacy of a Master Thief. I was not familiar with this point-and-click adventure game from 2013, which seems a bit recent for a remaster, but they've worked on animations, lighting, and hair, so if you're into the genre, here you go. On the 16th, the Switch gets Kirby Star Allies, a co-op platformer where you can combine the abilities of Kirby and his friends to overcome many obstacles like puzzle environments, boss fights, all with this trademark Nintendo look, which we all love. Despite the levels being designed for co-op play, you can also try to play it solo, as Kirby's friends will become controlled by the AI. On the same day, Burnout Paradise is getting a remaster for consoles first. PC version is coming later. This game is awesome if you haven't played it yet. I highly recommend it if you're a fan of arcade racers. They got the licenses for the entire soundtrack, which is amazing. They've reworked the graphics so it runs at 4K 60 FPS on PlayStation 4 Pro and the Xbox One. I assume PC will also get that treatment. And it comes with all 8 DLC packs that the game got. Just take me back to the Paradise City. The following week brings us a packed Tuesday with Sea of Thieves, the multiplayer-focused pirate game where you gather up your crew with friends and explore the seas. Solve puzzles, find treasure, upgrade your ship, and ruin some other crew's day by sinking theirs. Loot, drink, and sing pirate songs as you sail into the sunset. Attack on Titan 2 is improving a lot over the first one, this time with a story featuring a created character. Titan's behavior has suffered so many changes and they seem to be for the best. This time around you can also play the entire story with a friend, and in addition to that you have the co-op play from Scout Missions, which is returning from the previous game, and they're also adding PvP gameplay where teams of 4 will defeat titans trying to rack up more points than the enemy team. I am personally very excited for this one. They're also remastering an Assassin's Creed that kind of fell under most people's radar. Assassin's Creed Rogue came out on the same day as Assassin's Creed Unity, but for the previous generation of consoles. As a result, everyone focused on Unity, which was a really bad game, and Rogue didn't really get a spot spotlight. The gameplay is very similar to Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag, and its biggest twist is that you play as a Templar and not an assassin. If you were curious about the game back then, now you can play it on PlayStation 4 or Xbox One. A PC version has also been available since 2015, but that is not getting a remaster. But that's not the end of releases for this particular week, because on Friday we get A Way Out from the makers of Brothers. Yes, Joseph Fares, fuck the Oscars, that guy. So this is a co-op game. You're meant to play this with a friend, locally or online, but preferably locally it seems. And both players will control a different character. The view is always split screen even if you're playing online, with the exception of a few cutscenes. Both you and your partner are playing through the same story. The personalities of the characters you play are very different, but they must cooperate to escape prison. Given the developer's pedigree, I'm expecting an awesome story, and I hope I can find the time to check this one out as well. Same day, Ni no Kuni 2 comes out. This is a gorgeous RPG with cutscenes and art by the famous Studio Ghibli. In this game, you complete quests to progress through the story and do what you do in every RPG. The combat style is pretty unique. It's an active combat system where you can hit enemies yourself, as well as use small creatures to attack them or buff your characters. You can free roam the world. There's also another battle engine where you control kind of an army. There's a lot to do in this game. The story is set hundreds of years after the first game, so you don't need to have played it, but I'm sure there's something in this one for those who have played the original Ni no Kuni. To close out the week, Detective Pikachu comes to the 3DS. This is an adventure game where you try to solve cases by gathering clues from people as well as Pokemon. Dialogue, quick time events, and following the information you found to progress in the story. And with that, we've come to the last week of March, which still has some strong releases, like Far Cry 5. Open world action adventure played as a first-person shooter. This one is set in a fictional city in America where a cult has risen, a military cult that has cut off communications with the outside world. So you play as a sheriff who is part of a task force sent to investigate what's going on. Of course, things go wrong and then you have to survive in the middle of all this craziness. The gameplay seems very similar to the previous Far Cry games, so if you want more of that, here you have it. The yearly baseball game from Sony is also coming out this month, MLB The Show 18, which seems to have the typical minor improvements that sports franchises get every year. This year they've focused on presentation with the atmosphere, the crowd size and reactions, stuff like that, but none other major improvements that I've heard of. Outlast 2 is coming to the Switch. You could already play it on the PC, PS4 and Xbox One, but if you want the horror on the go, now you can have it. Injustice 2 is bringing out its Legendary Edition now that all their planned DLC characters have been released. They're selling the entire package. It also comes with a few character skins, and I highly recommend Injustice 2. Whether it's this version or a cheaper one, if you're a fan of fighting games like Mortal Kombat, Injustice 2 is very good. The next day, PC gets Gollum Gates, which mixes elements of RTS and card battles. There are a few RTS games coming out this month, but this was the only one that I decided to highlight. You draw glyphs, which are like cards from a deck, and these are special abilities that you can use to support your units on the field or to attack the enemy, etc. Build your deck to prepare for a battle, and then you play the game as an RTS with interesting buffs that you draw from a card deck. Interesting idea. And the last game of the month is Agony, which has one hell of a look. It's a survival horror played from a first-person perspective in hell. You have some powers, namely the ability to control people and some minor demons, so you can survive this extreme environment. But this will only allow you to survive. You'll still need to hide, to hold your breath, to solve puzzles while undetected like most horror games. And that's it for March. As usual, let me know what you're playing this month in those comments down below. If you want to watch last month's upcoming, click the video on screen right now. Make sure you didn't miss something that you were interested in. But as always, thank you very much for watching. My name's Globku, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!